All right, guys, what is going on? What's going on, everybody? It's Intelligent Psycho. So, yeah, man, the Phoenix Mercury complete a miraculous comeback, overcome a 20-point deficit as they were down 68 to 49 early going on in the third quarter. And the Phoenix Mercury came back from a 20-point deficit, led by Satu Sabali and Sammy Whitcomb, in order to force the game into overtime and to win 89-83 over the Minnesota Lynx. Now, the story that we saw early on in the first half was the Lynx had pretty much controlled the pace and were getting their shots off very, very easily, very smoothly. But the second half was a completely different outcome. Number one, the Minnesota Lynx had like seven turnovers in the third quarter alone, which led to a lot of easy open transition buckets, whether open transition threes from Sammy or Satu Sabali finishing inside the paint. Alyssa Thomas was able to get to her spots after a couple of bad turnovers led by Courtney Williams. I think she had like four turnovers in the third, which was just uncharacteristic, unfortunate, but in a sense, Courtney's kind of known to do things like that to kind of force the hand. And then also, I did not like the fact that Cheryl Reeves, the Minnesota Lynx coach, did not play her bench more. I mean, I would have saw more. I would have saw more action from like Jessica Shepard or Maria Klindikova, Natasha Heidemann. I would have loved to see Cheryl Reeves play her bench more. And the fact that that didn't happen, which again I understand in certain senses that you had Kayla McBride that was pretty much getting it going. But yeah, but Courtney, when you turn the ball over like that, that pretty much was gonna pretty much do a man like that, man. And Jessica Shepard, if she wasn't giving you much of nothing. I mean, Bridget Carlton's defense was keeping them still like in the game in the third quarter and the fourth. But as far as defensively, they just could not make enough stops. I would have took Elena Smith out and put in either Maria, Natasha Heidemann, or hell, I would have even played in Cameron Taylor. Like either way it goes, I would have went to the bench more if I was the Minnesota Lynx, because once Nate Tibbett made his adjustments and made his rotations and took McConaughey out to play more Sammy Whitcomb and Catherine Westbell, that changed the whole complexity of the game for Phoenix, and they was able to go on their run and really limit the Lynx into a lot of turnovers, time possession, shot clock violations, of course. And defensively, they was able to get a little bit of stops, in order to get themselves back into it, which led to their offense and led to them switching out. At getting outside of the perimeter, and then feeding inside a couple of inside shots from Satu or from Sammy or from even Natasha Mack. Kalea Copper was kind of disappointing for the Phoenix Mercury. I would have expected her to have a on game, but the defense that was being laid out by Bridget Carlton on her and DeWanna Bonner was another factor that doesn't come on the stat sheet. But yeah, Kalea Copper pretty much struggled in majority of the game, and that was a little bit surprising because I would not expect her to do that. And she shot a lot of outside 3-point shots. That's not her game. I would expect her to kind of rebound in game three, going back to the Valley, going back to Phoenix. So I think the Mercury would be a lot better as far as taking care of the basketball with a lot of good shots going. Oh, hey, Soul Collector. Hey, what's going on? But yeah, I would expect the Mercury to be better at home as far as their shot selection. But I definitely expect the Lynx to be playing a lot better, because that was just a horrible display offensively and in overtime, and a horrible execution down the stretch with like less than 20 some seconds to go. With less than 20 some seconds left to go, and then down the stretch, 10 seconds left, they did not. They let two of the star Phoenix players just get open for 3-point shots. Mainly Satu after an air ball shot that was thrown up, and they got down the shot clock and the game clock, and they was able to get an open look for the 3-point line from Satu, and then before then to tie the game up with Sammy, which was led because of a bad defensive breakdown from the Lynx, and it also was a thing that just made it look completely disregard. And if you're the Lynx, you cannot have those defensive breakdowns. That's why I would have said last night, and I would have been out there on the court. I would have fouled immediately, you know, during that time, that stretch time, and let them just go to the free throw line. I would have done that because you just don't trust the fact that they're gonna be able to knock those shots down, especially if you give them open room. And that'd be a main thing I would be complaining about, going in the locker room if I was Cheryl Reeves, and definitely looking at myself in the mirror because you didn't play none of your other stars on the bench, and that was a problem. And I get going with your main starters because it was giving you buckets, but at the end of the day, man, you gotta make some adjustments, knowing that the momentum was swinging from your direction over to Phoenix, and that just kind of was the main crux and the main difference that I saw last night. And so, if I'm the Lynx, one thing I need to work, multiple things I need to work on is number one, execution down the stretch in the second half of games, closing games out. Though that's the number one thing. Number two, I will work on the turnovers. I will work on cleaning those things up, taking care of the basketball. And then number three, and mainly the most important thing is your bench, playing your bench more, taking players that wasn't really doing much in game and taking them out and getting guys in there, get the girls in there that will actually contribute, that can actually contribute and put some points on the board and really start scoring and really defensively getting stops and switching the momentum and switching gears back to your guys' direction. But I think the Lynx will have a better game three. I think they'll come in on fire. Um, but for me, also Nafisa Collier, you gotta really rally your team together. You cannot be sitting there and just defensively not putting in. You got to rally the game and got to rally your troops, especially when they're committing silly turnovers and making a lot of boneheaded mistakes. You got to rally the troops together, and you got to really get the girls going because they susceptible, they susceptible to making a lot of boneheaded mistakes and a lot of boneheaded plays in order for them to not get into the rhythm. And when they start chucking up a lot of 3-point shots, they're very indecisive. That falls on your leader as a player. That follows you. That follows your path and your leader as a player to be out there on the court and really actually, rallying the troops and getting the girls back together, knowing that the game and the momentum is starting to slip away. So that would be a thing I would be working on a lot if I was the Lynx and focusing on that more or less. And then as far as Phoenix goes, that was a really solid comeback for them. Uh, and that was a really solid way of going out and really good adjustments by Nate Tibbett, uh, playing a lot more Sammy Whitcomb and rotating, using more with Natasha Mack and then of course with Captain Westbrook. That was a really good adjustments that was made from Phoenix, and I really was impressed by that part. And mainly really disappointed from the Lynx as far as not making their adjustments and not really adding more to the fire as far as offensively, missing shots and lack of execution down the stretch in the fourth quarter and in overtime. So those are the things that I saw that really kind of sparked and really kind of made me pay attention more. So tell me what you guys think in the comment section. What you guys thought about the Mercury's overcoming a 20-point deficit and come back and force the game in overtime and winning it. What you guys think about it? Let me know down in the comment section. So as we transition over to the next following game, which is the Fever and the Vegas Aces. So the Vegas Aces, which I kind of feel like they was gonna rebound and come back with vengeance, and they came back and they came through with authority as they dominated throughout the entirety of the game. Won by the score 90-68. Led, by the way, by Asia Wilson, of course, with 25 points. Nalissa Smith was banging on the board. She had 18 points. And Jackie Young, she had 13. Uh, Chelsea Gray really came through and contributed with 10 assists. Didn't really get a lot of scoring points on the board, but what they did do was really give an impact. Uh, and Joel Lloyd and Dana Evans, they did with the best that they could. But the story to me was the story to me was the fact that the Vegas Aces were able to bang and dominate on the boards um, in the second half. The first half it was kind of a bit of a stretch where the Fever were actually getting out in transition and getting open 3-point looks because the Vegas Aces, mainly Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young and Dana Evans, certain times they would be having the ball in their hands, but it'd be a little bit of miscommunication, a little bit of like not getting back to the open shooter, and it was just letting Lexi Hull get like 4 3-pointers, or letting Odyssey Sims get an open look towards a couple of looks towards the basket with a couple of lay-ins. That goes, and that just happened in the first half. The second half, everything changed when they started feeding the ball inside to Asia, and when they started letting Alyssa Smith bang inside, because the Fever do not have the size and they don't have the aggressiveness as far as matching the intensity and aggressiveness that the Aces is bringing to them, and you can see that. And Becky Hammond mainly played her bench more with Parker Tyus. I don't know why she played Kirsten Bell. She wasn't really contributing much. But at the same time, you know, she played a lot more of her rotation, her bench more, and that really made a big difference. And also, the Aces really needed this one. Of course, there's gonna be a lot of talk about, you know, certain people had certain things to say about Asia needed to prove herself and all this stuff. Asia don't need to prove nothing as far as what she could do, but what she's done this entire year with this team, and most of the people on the team like Aaliyah Nye and Kia Stokes and everybody not even getting into double figures, and what she's been able to do to get on this 15-game winning streak is already impressive enough. So she didn't really need to prove to me, as far as my commentary goes, didn't really need to prove anything to me because she's already been established as one of the all-time greats. At this stage, it is going to be at this stage in her career, especially when it's all said and done. But from what I saw yet last night was just the Aces were dominant and banging inside, getting to the foul line. There were a lot of bad calls and bad officiating also, if I didn't mention that already. Bad officiating yesterday. That was some of the worst officiating I seen last night. It's a lot of flops, a lot of bad calls on offensive fouls that make no sense whatsoever. That was a thing that I was just like, and it didn't really remotely even shock me, but at the end of the day, it was just bad calls and bad officiating, but it just didn't affect the Aces at all. But it got the Fever, only got them back, try to get them a little bit more tied in the game because they were pretty much getting dominated on every asset. And once you make them play their style and once you make the Indiana Fever try to run an offense and play a style of ball that they're not used to, and especially when you're not running up the court and making them play a half court game and also controlling the pace, that's what happens. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Aces and Fever game. Tell me what you guys think. And as I will be out of here, I will be talking about the story with Jimmy Kimmel's show on ABC program returning back, and he makes an addressing of why he returns and the comments that he made. So I will be talking about that later on today. So be on the lookout for that video. But yeah, those are my thoughts for the Aces. But let me just say this for Game 3. For the Vegas Aces, I will say is, to me, continue to feed through Asia and Melissa Smith, Parker Tyus whenever she gets in the game. Um, you don't need to have Jewel Lloyd out there all the time. You can have her rest and be on the bench for a minute and just play. And don't even think about playing Kirsten. Probably get in the Leah Nye or something. Kia Stokes. Either way it goes, you don't need to play Jewel Lloyd all the time. Dana Evans, you need to limit her minutes because certain times when she's in the game, defensively she can be a liability, and definitely Kirsten Bell, you don't need to play her at all because she definitely is a liability out there. So I would say, for me, definitely work on the rotations. If I was Becky Hammond and if I was them and the coaching staff, work on the rotations, and also defensively get bang and get aggressive and continue to hold and lock in on limiting like drives to the paint for Kelsey Mitchell and limiting Odyssey Sims plays towards the basket. And if I was the Indiana Fever, the keys for them in next game, Game 3, which is at home, for me, getting Aaliyah Boston going and getting Natasha Howard going is the main thing I would say for them. That's number one. Number two, I would say is go ahead and really mind playing more or less get aerial powers going and really play a little bit more of your bench and actually just start going inside, start attacking the rim more and try to get contact. And then third, and mostly just try to contain the Aces as far as outside shots and what they're looking for, and control the outside perimeter game, and force them to really play your style. So those are my thoughts and those are my keys to what could happen in Game 3. I picked the Aces if I didn't mention already in my prediction. Said that they was probably going to win in 4 games. But I think the Aces will probably win Game 3. I think the Lynx should be able to win Game 3, but it's not going to be easy for both teams because we definitely know how the officiating is going to go. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think down in the comment section. I'm out of here, and peace.